All right, so I want to talk about something I hardly ever talk about, which is like amplification or, some of the stuff that I use. So, obviously, most people here that watch this channel know that my primary amp is my Henriksen amp, and I also have a Milkman that I use, which is an all-tube, basically built off of it's basically a Fender Reverb. That's a boutique amp. I should say, no, I'm sorry, a Princeton amp that's a boutique from that perspective. Beautiful, beautiful sounding amp. And so one of the dilemmas I had, or lately as I've gotten older and been playing guitar for a while, it feels like, is to use pedals or not to use pedals. So we all go through stages. I played rock growing up, and I did have pedals, but I was never a big pedal guy other than distortion or overdrive pedal and things like that. So I was not really into chorus sound, delay, and all that stuff that was going on because I wanted to hear the guitar. And the guys who influenced me primarily were pure players, what I would call. Everybody from obviously Wes Montgomery, Pat Martino, Barney Kessel, you name it. All these guys were basically straight players. They played either a tube amp or they had a polytone, and it was just plug and play. That was it. Everything they did and created, they got from their fingers. They didn't get it from effects. The effects didn't play them. It was their fingers that played the music. So that was the first thing. And there are guys who are great, great, great effects players. You think of YouTube and The Edge. great sound, and what he does with effects are crazy. It's just like nuts. But I want to play the guitar. I don't want to play effects. But at the same time, there is this whole, I call it the new age of guitarists. The obviously the Kurt Rosewinkle. It goes on and on and on. There's a lot of guys who are a little bit younger meaning they're between probably 30 and 45 years old, that or maybe 30, between 30 and 50, that they use pedals. And typically the type of pedals that they use was started with what I would call the Pat Metheny sound. Pat Metheny's sound had, had the reverb, had the delays and things of that nature. And you've got a guy like Bill Frisell that will use delays and line six things. But his thing is like Americana music, and he spaces that stuff out, and very, very musical. He's not blowing over changes in the traditional sense. So, and he's an older guy in that sense. He's not one of the newer players like that I've mentioned, like the Kurt Rosewinkles of this time. But anyway, getting back to the current time. So I've been experimenting with a bunch of different pedals. So I've leveraged everything from delays, from my broadcast pedal, my kids' distortion DS1, what else? Tube screamers and things like that. And funny thing is, like, I've come back to not really playing a lot of those things. I've come back to trying to play straight through the amp. And, I will use the pedals here and there, depending upon the amp that I'm using. So some of my signal might sound a little bit delayish and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I think I'm a pure player. I like really the organic nature of just a straight guitar. But sometimes you have a guitar that's, sounds muddy, that doesn't quite cut through the mix. So then you might use a little bit distortion pedal, but use it as a boost pedal, or just use a boost pedal, things like that. Or a better thing is probably to get a better amp and then play through it and things of that nature. So I had that issue with my Gibson ES175D, which is that pickup always it sounded great when I'm playing it, but whenever I hear it back, it's like, it sounds a little bit muddy and things like that. So there have been some things that I've done to clean it up, and I'm not gonna cut that thing up and change the pickups in there. But in any event, though, so it's a long-winded way of saying that at the end of the day, I'm gonna be a pure player, pretty much. What I played at the beginning was my Hendrickson. That amp has some things in it that I never really use. It's got a presence control, and it's got high mids, just a high and low mids and things of that nature. So just play around with the amp, and I can get sort of like a Fenderish type of sound. It's never gonna sound like my Milkman, which is like a pure tube amp from that perspective, but it's a beautiful sounding amp, and I can get a natural organic sound out of that. So anyway, find your journey, or enjoy the journey, as I say, as you try to figure out what your tone print is and what your sound is. And part of the instrument when you play jazz guitar, it's not only guitar, it's the amp that you're using, it's how you set it up, it's the room that you're playing. And one of the things that I found that's even very simple, certain things I found that was very simple, was I first started playing and I played like with amps, I had the amps on the floor. Put that thing on a chair or put it elevated. That way the bass is not going down into the ground, little things like that. The other thing is, if I'm playing clean, even if I have pedals, take the chord and go directly in. I don't care. You don't need to be a PhD from MIT, but if you're running a chain of pedals, whether it's like one or two or three, and you're not going direct, if you're gonna play clean, just take the thing out and plug straight in, because that's not gonna dilute your sound. Just think about it logically. The more things you have to go through, the more diluted the sound or the signal becomes. So little things like that does go a long way, and it'll improve your tone, and those are the things that I'm working on. All right, sorry for the long message. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye now.